time this afternoon. My understanding, just as I share the screen here, my understanding is that for a majority of you, the challenges are around retaining your existing clients, looking to win new clients, and making sure that you're getting paid the price you want to be paid with the clients you want to work for. Is that a fair assumption? Is that a fair reflection of what you want me to cover this afternoon? If it's any different to that, just let us know in the comments and we can take it from there. So if I just give a little bit of background, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years now, and pretty much over the last 10 years doing that for myself. And I see and hear the same themes when I'm chatting to business owners, and it doesn't matter what their product or service is. It doesn't matter whether it's translation or interpretation or they're selling widgets, whatever it is, it's the same challenges from the same business owners. And those challenges are around structure, it's around focus, it's around planning, and it's around taking the next steps that allow you to achieve results. It's the same results from every business owner that I speak to and every business owner that I help. So what I'm going to do is talk you through this afternoon the main elements of pulling a plan together that allow you to retain your existing clients, that allow you to identify, talk to and win new clients, and ideally achieve the price you want to achieve with the customers that you want to achieve it. So if we can cover all of that, I think we'll be in a good place this afternoon. So this is a famous quote that I love. Abraham Lincoln, most of you, all of you should know. So very, very famous US president. And he used a phrase that said, if I have 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the 4 hours sharpening the axe. And that's really, really important in business terms, because what a lot of business owners do is they jump straight into implementation. They jump straight into trying to chop down the tree. But what they don't do is they don't check whether the axe is sharp first. And what he's saying is that if your axe is sharp, you're going to cut it down a lot quicker. So the time that you spend sharpening the axe is going to help you chop down the tree quicker. And it's exactly the same in business. You've got to spend that time planning if you want to chop the tree down quicker. If you want to achieve better results in your business, you've got to spend time metaphorically sharpening your axe. And in terms of what we're chatting about this afternoon, that is putting a plan in place. Because if you are busy going about doing what you do in business and you don't have a plan, then that's the equivalent of trying to chop a tree down with a blunt axe. You're going to get some results, you're going to get somewhere, but you're not going to achieve the results you want quick enough, fast enough, or of a high enough level. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. So this is all about planning for me. It's all about planning. Now, you may well have seen and heard of business plans that are mega, mega thick. I've got one here on my desk that a new client wrote before I started working with them, which is 50 pages long. Now, having a plan like that is just makes no sense. Having a 50-page plan takes forever to pull together, and it's out of date as soon as it's finished. And as a result, most business owners don't actually ever write that plan because they don't have the time, they don't have the inclination, and they don't have the patience. In my world, we have a single-page plan, and this single-page plan is in front of you. And I'm just going to talk you through the elements of that plan. Now, this plan is an A3 page, and we call it strategy on a page. And that's got everything you need to grow your business, to build a business that you're happy with, that's building the right business for you, that enables you to work with your ideal clients at your ideal prices. So these elements, I'm just going to talk very quickly through these, and I'll go into them in a little bit more detail as we get through the presentation. So if we start in this bottom left-hand corner around purpose, every business owner should love what they do every single day. The problem is when things are not going quite to plan, you tend to lose the excitement for your business a little bit. And it's because you are doing things you don't like to do. It's because you're not getting the results that you want to have. And often you are compromising the time you want to spend with your family, and you are compromising the financial rewards that you want to take out of the business. So you've got to build a business that puts fire in your belly every single day, that allows you to enjoy the business and get the results from the business that you want. Values is all about working with the right customers and the right team. Vision is about having clarity where you want to be in 3 to 5 years. And then just at the side of vision there, you've got USP, market space, and company promise. That's positioning. That's positioning you as an expert in your space. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. You've got to position yourself as an expert in your space so that you stand out from the competition and you attract the right kind of customers and the right kind of prices. To the left-hand side of the dotted line, they're the foundations from which you will grow a business. If you don't have those foundations in place, you start to build a business on unsolid foundations. And the consequences of that is why 95% of small business owners are failing. So to the right-hand side of the dotted line at the bottom, you've got long-term and medium-term strategy and key actions. They're the strategies that you need to take to grow your business. They're the tactics, the strategies, the plans that you need to adopt to take your business from where it is to where you want it to be. And above those, you've got what we call BGIs, Business Growth Indicators. Now, some of you may well have heard of KPIs, Key Performance Indicators. KPIs tend to look backwards. Business Growth Indicators, BGIs, tend to look forwards, so you can predict the future rather than KPIs that look backwards when you can't influence that result. So if you put all of those together, you've got the foundations from which to grow the business, you've got the strategies to grow from your foundations, and the BGIs are measures that you have in place to track the success of your performance that will tell you whether you need to adjust what you're doing or not. That single strategy on a page is everything you need to grow a business that you're proud of. Okay, why is this important? Because if you don't have a plan, I think having a plan in your business is a bit like a sat-nav in your car. Pretty much everybody's going to have a sat-nav in the car these days. And that sat-nav's either going to tell you the route that you need to take to get to your destination, or it's going to tell you what time you will get to your destination. So there's a route, and there's a measure by which you get there, the time that you get there. And pretty much for any long journey these days, we tend to put the sat-nav on. Having a business plan is exactly like having a sat-nav in your car. A business plan is a sat-nav for your business. It tells you what route to take, and it tells you whether you're on track to get there on time, and if not, you take a different route. It's exactly the same as a sat-nav. So think about, if you don't have a sat-nav in your car, if you don't have a plan in your business, what are the consequences? You finish up wasting a lot of time, effort, energy on marketing to the wrong people, going to the wrong events, talking to the wrong clients, and not winning business. You tend to spend a lot of money marketing sometimes that doesn't work, marketing that doesn't give you a return. You finish up working more hours than you want to work, which can lead to tiredness, it can lead to overwhelm, and it can lead to you not spending enough quality time with your loved ones. So this kind of concept of working too many hours and not getting the return is why people fall out of love with their business. So having a plan and executing that plan is the key to not working too many hours, to working with the right customers at the right prices, and to build a business that you love and puts fire in your belly every single day. So you really, really need to have a plan, a bit like we've all got a sat-nav in our car these days. So here's the starting point for me, these two elements of purpose and values. And I'm going to take these in that order. So purpose is about why you do what you do in business. It's not about running your own business so I can spend more time with my kids. It's not about running my own business so I can have better financial roads. It's about why you're doing the actual job that you're doing. So why am I a business mentor when I could do a bunch of other things? So it's about why you do what you do. So you might have heard people call it why, I call it purpose. And there are 5 elements to purpose. You've got to love what you do every single day. If you don't love what you do every single day, if you can't impact the community, the customers, the people you want to serve every single day, then you're building the wrong business. The second element of purpose is that you have to add service and value. You have to deliver a difference, deliver an impact to that customer. The third one is that there's got to be an opportunity for you to grow. There's got to be a market that's big enough for you to prosper. The fourth element of purpose is what financial rewards you want to achieve. And the fifth element is what lifestyle do you want the business to give you. So the starting point of any business plan is to get clarity on why you're in business, what your purpose is, and what you want out of the business. The key to unlocking that is to understand your values. Now, your values are not a list of really, really nice things that you want to be known for. And we've all been into offices where there's a plaque on the wall in reception with their values on, or it's in a presentation, or they are in a company handbook. And in those examples, most of the people in those organizations don't know what the values are. Values in terms of what we're chatting about today, these are the things that really grind your gears. These are the things that really, really get you fed up with people, get you falling out with people. And if you understand these values and you turn those frustrations, those things that grind your gears into positives, they're the things that are important to you. And they're the things when you're working with partners, when you're employing team members, and when you're working with customers, that you must work with partners and team members and customers that are value aligned. Because if you don't, there's going to be negative energy when you are dealing with those people. And we've all had customers that are a bit of a pain. It's because they're not value aligned. They don't think and act the same way that we think and act. So you've got to understand why you're in business and what you want out of it. And you've got to understand those values that are really, really important to you that get you in here. And values need to be hiring and firing decisions. If you've got a customer that's not living your values, they might be paying you really well, but they're going to be a constant drain on your energy. And at some point you have to exit that customer because they're just not doing your business. So understand your values and hire and fire based on those values. So the next part of the jigsaw in terms of foundations is your positioning. And your positioning is what positions you as an expert in your space. And there are 3 elements to positioning, and I'm going to break those down for you. The first element is often called USP, or unique selling point. So why would customers buy from you and not your competition? You know, in any market these days, there is lots and lots and lots of competition. There are many, many people vying for the same business. And if you can't articulate simply, if you can't state simply and quickly what stands you out from your competition and why your customers should buy from you and nobody else, then it becomes about price, because they can't see where you're better than the next person, so the customer buys on price. So you've got to get crystal clear what your key messages are that allow you to very, very simply state to your customer why they should buy from you, why you are better than your competition. Market space is who is your target customer. Now, for some of you, you will be supplying your services through agencies. Some of you will be supplying your services directly. And for some of you, if not all of you, you will be supplying a combination of those. Now, you need to understand exactly who your target customer is, why they're your target customer, and where they hang out. Once you know that, and you know who that customer is and where they hang out, you can understand what problems they have that you can look to solve. So let me give you an example. If the work is coming to you through an agency, They might be great at providing the leads to you. So they do all the sales and marketing because they've got the end relationship. So they do all the sales and marketing, which you might not like, you might not be very good at. But they want to take a cut of the price. So the price that you might get offered from the agency may well sometimes not be very good. So is that actually good business for you? So one of your target markets might be to work with agencies or particular agencies. Another of your target market, another of your niche might well be to look how you can go direct to the customer. So direct to the customer could mean that you can command a higher price because there is no premium to pay to the agency. But again, different customers may well have a different proposition. So for example, if a solicitor was your target client, that might be on paper a very, very good customer to have. But if some of those are dealing with legal aid and there's not a lot of money about, then that might mean the price point that's available to you might not be very good. So is legal a good target market for you, or is it a bad target market? Are agencies a good target market, or are they a bad target market? And equally, part of understanding who your ideal customer is and where they are might well be location. Now, the last 3 months has probably taught us that we can do some of our work online, but traditionally, conference interpreters, translators did a lot of traveling. I know Ava, that I talk to quite often, she's jet setting all over the place. It might be that now we can choose customers anywhere, whereas previously we might have only wanted to work with customers in a particular geography, a particular country, or even somebody local to us, which meant we didn't have a lot of travel needs. So your customer space is about understanding who is your target customer in terms of their route to market. So, is it a particular sector like law? Is it particular legal firms? Or do you go through agencies? So what sectors are you tackling? What route to market? What's the job title of the person you want to chat to? What experience do they have? How old are they? How long have they been in business? How big is their budget? How often are they going to need your services? So there's literally many different criteria within market space. The more detailed you know what your ideal customer looks like, the more you can focus your time and your marketing expenditure on targeting those exact customers. So if I put that in terms of my business, I work with SMEs, small to medium enterprises in the UK. Now, there are 5.9 million SMEs in the UK. Now, if I said I just supply to SMEs and I didn't have any more detail on what my ideal customer looked like, I would spend a lot of time and a lot of money marketing to 5.9 million small businesses. If I start to say I only deal with businesses of a particular size, of a particular age, people of a particular job title, and of businesses based in a particular geography, then that starts to narrow that 5.9 million down to maybe a few thousand. And when I narrow that down to a few thousand, I will look at other criteria. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook or Instagram? How many staff do they have? What's their turnover? What qualifications do they have? Where do they need help? Then I start to narrow that thousands down into hundreds. When I get that target market down to hundreds, I can then start to look at a marketing strategy to get me in front of a few of those hundreds. And it will not cost me as much money, time and effort as if I'm trying to target 5.7, 5.8, 5.9 million. So the third element here is company promise. So if I look at these three elements in unison, market space is who you're chatting to and where they are. Your USP, once you know who to chat to, your USP is going to help you, and it can be called proposition, it can be called messaging. Your USP, once you find the right customer, is to tell them why they should be buying from you. Now, you're still not in an ideal position to win that business. So you're talking to your ideal customer and you're now telling them why they should buy from you. What they're going to need before they part with their money is proof, trust, confidence that you can deliver the results. And that comes from your promise. Now, your promise or your brand isn't what you want it to be. Your brand is what your customers, your previous customers, have said about you after you've worked with them. So let me give you an example. Some of you might have satellite television, Sky, for example. Some of you might think Sky are absolutely amazing because their service is great. Some of you might think Sky are fantastic because they've got all of these amazing TV channels. But some of you might think Sky are really expensive. Some of you might think the customer service is appalling because you can never get through on the telephone. So different people have different perceptions of a brand based on their experience. So a customer's experience of your brand isn't what you want it to be, it's their experience when they've worked from you. So if you're working with the right customers that value aligned and you deliver a great service, your customers are going to say, you're amazing, you deliver great results, you're very thorough, you are punctual, you're a pleasure to work with. And they're going to tell all of their friends and all of their colleagues that you are amazing to deal with. And that's how your brand, your company promise builds. So when you're talking to your ideal customer in your market space, you've articulated why they should buy from you. They're then going to look for proof that you can deliver results. And they're going to listen to your previous customers. They're going to look at your social media. They're going to look at your website. A lot of potential customers will lurk, they will watch, and they will watch you for a few months before they decide to buy, because they need to know that your company promise or your brand is a strong one before they start spending money with you. So the combination of these three is what enables you to position yourself as an expert in front of your target market and build a reputation that allows you to win your fair share of business and command higher prices. So let me just explain again if I cover, if you're not talking to the right customer because you've not clearly understood your market space or your niche, so you might be talking to the wrong job title, in the wrong geography, the wrong size business. If you're talking to the wrong customer, it's likely they don't fully value your service. And if they don't fully value it, they're not going to pay the premium price that you want them to pay. Or if you haven't articulated why you're amazing and why you should be the one to win that business, your proposition, then again, they're going to be reluctant to pay the premium price because they're going to be uncertain that you can deliver the best results. And what happens there is they start to introduce competition. And so it becomes a price war. And that's why often, if you're dealing directly with the customer and they have the budget, that your prices might be under scrutiny. So, as I said earlier, if you're dealing with legal, for example, that don't have money because it's all about legal aid, then you're never going to command the prices you want to command in some instances. If you're working through agencies that are going to take their cut, in some instances, they're going to take that cut, which is going to mean there isn't a price for you. So if you want to command higher prices, you're going to need to identify how you can add more value to the process to justify paying a premium, or how can you find those people that want to employ you directly because they value your service and don't want to go through agencies. So this whole concept of positioning is really important for you to understand, and this is where a lot of small business owners go wrong. They don't get this bit really, really nailed, understood. So what we finish up doing is you don't articulate your proposition very well. You're talking to the wrong customers, or your brand isn't very strong, and therefore customers won't buy into you because of that. So this is where your pricing falls down. Getting these right means you're going to win your fair share of business, at the price that you want to be paid, with the customers that are a dream to work with. If you don't get this positioning nailed, you're going to finish up getting beaten up on price. You're not going to win your fair share of opportunities, and there's going to be a lot of competition, and it's going to drain your energy because there's a lot of pitching and a lot of marketing going on. So this positioning is really, really important. It's the key piece for me. Now, once you've got that positioning secured, you've got those foundations in place that I talked about earlier, you've got to start to build your strategies. Now, your strategies are the things that you do that deliver a major result in your business. Now, strategy and tactics are often mixed up. Strategies deliver a major result. Tactics are the little things that you need to do to keep the business ticking along. So for strategy, think bigger picture, bigger result, major result. So long-term strategy in my world is 12 months from now. And there is a reason for that, because traditionally in bigger business plans, strategy is 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And we've all heard about plans and strategies that are 3, 5, 10 years. Now we're in the most dynamic environment there's ever been. And if anything, the coronavirus has taught us that having a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan, when in January this year, we've got a global pandemic on our doorstep, when you've got that, you need to be able to react very quickly. Having a 50-page strategy document that's taken months to prepare, you're not going to review and update that overnight when you need to turn your business on a sixpence when a global pandemic hits, or there's a legislation change, or whatever it might be. So having a strategy that's 12 months out means that you've no long-term strategies to focus on. This is all about small, more tangible, more achievable results. Midterm is the next 3 months, the next 90 days. So what are you going to achieve in the next quarter? So we're at the beginning of July. So July, August, September. What major results are you going to achieve by the end of September? Once you've achieved those, you then implement what are the major results you need to achieve by the end of December. So you're breaking that long-term strategy down into quarterly chunks. So imagine across the year, you'd have 4 midterm strategies, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Key actions, so on the right-hand side here, key actions are the things that typically you would want to do in the next month. So these are more tactical in nature, and these are the things that you have to implement in the next month in order to take some steps forward. Now, the reason we break it down like this is that human nature, that our brain is wired to leave things quite often until the last minute. And some of you will be doing that. Some of you will do that in business. Some of you will do that at home. Now, it might be mowing the lawn. It might be cleaning out a cupboard. It could be anything. We tend to leave things to the last minute until it's urgent. So if we have a long-term strategy that's 3 years out and we're going to leave things to the last minute, we're not going to implement things we need to implement. We're not going to change things that we need to change because we're going to leave it for a year, 2, 3 years. Breaking your plans down into what you must do in the next month, in the next 3 months, and in the next year means that you are going to achieve results because you're breaking your goals down into small, manageable chunks. So break everything down. Now we split strategy into 5 areas. And I call it the spectrum of strategy because these 5 all knit together. You can't implement one of these in your business without influencing the other 4. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to really turbocharge my marketing strategy and deliver better results. I'm going to need money to do that. I'm going to need systems or operations to do that. If I have a successful marketing strategy, it's going to generate loads of sales for me. Those sales are going to need operations or systems for people to be able to implement. So if you generate marketing opportunities, you generate business, you then need time and energy to actually operate, to deliver those. Then you've got to collect the money, which is your finance. So all of these strategies link together. So So sales is all about, have you got the skills to sell your product or service? And are you building a strong pipeline of opportunities for you to be able to sell? So one of the main reasons small business owners that I'm chatting to fail in this area is they're not generating enough leads into the pipeline, and they don't have the skills to convert those leads. So understanding what skills you need to convert those leads and then generating those leads is key to you achieving successful sales results. Sales also isn't just about new business. Sales is also about retaining existing clients. If you're working with the right clients, if you continue to articulate your value or your proposition or your USP, and you continue to deliver value and enhance your reputation, unless something fundamentally changes with the customer, you're going to retain them. If you're making a mess of those, you're going to struggle to retain your customers. So the only other way you're going to struggle, if you're delivering value constantly, you continue to remind them why you deliver value and what you deliver, and your brand continues to enhance, the only times you're going to lose business is if their situation changes. There's a budget cut, there's a change of decision maker, there's a change of decision or strategy, or maybe just the business dries up. So if you continue to deliver value, remind them of your proposition and enhance your brand, you're going to retain your business. That's part of your sales strategies. In terms of marketing, this is about getting your positioning right so that you can justify the pricing. And we've talked about that at length this afternoon. So get your USP right, your messaging, get your target customer right, and get your brand built. And it's going to enable you to put yourself in a position of expertise to command the price you want to command. Operations is all about the systems that run your business. Every business is run on systems. So businesses run on systems and people run the systems. If you don't have systems and people are running the business, you've got anarchy. So you've got to have a system or a process in place. Sometimes those are written down, sometimes they're up here, but you've got to have a very structured system and a process that runs your business, and then people follow the process. Finance is all about generating cash. It's all about enhancing your profit and loss. So that's basically your profit and loss is how much money you're selling stuff for, how much money it costs you, and how much money is left at the end of the day. So your profit and loss is going to identify where you generate cash. Generating cash means you've got a pot of money that you can pay yourself. You can invest in marketing, you can invest in systems, and you can invest in the growth of your business. So it's all about generating cash. And people is all about having the right team. Now, some of you may well employ people. Some of you may well have collaborations and joint ventures with other partners because they speak maybe a different language, or they operate in a different sector or a separate geography. So people isn't necessarily people that you employ, it's the people in your network. It could be your accountant, your marketing company, your associates, your collaborators, your networks that you deal with. So this is all about understanding what team you need around you, what team and support you need around you. So they're the 5 elements of, or the 5 spectrum of strategy. Once you've got those 5 spectrums of strategy, you need to be able to measure the success of your strategy. So for those of you that plug a destination into your sat-nav, let's say I'm driving tomorrow from Leeds to London. I know that it's going to take me approximately 3.5 to 4 hours, but I'm going to check my sat-nav regularly to check that I'm still on track to get there on time, because I don't like to be late. So every few minutes, I'll maybe look at the sat-nav and it will say, you're still on time to get there. You're still on time to get there. Now, if there is a traffic jam ahead, if there are roadworks ahead, if there's a problem of some sort, my sat-nav is going to tell me that I'm going to get there late, that I've got a problem. So that's the early warning sign that you need a different strategy to get there on time, or you need to take a different route. So a bit like your sat-nav would say, take an alternative route, or you're going to get there at a slightly different time. You need an ability in your business to be able to measure the success and identify whether you're going to hit your goal or not. It's exactly the same as a sat nav, as I say. So your business growth indicators are forward-facing measures. So I mentioned earlier that KPIs look backwards. So let's say now we're on the 2nd of July, you look at your profit and loss account, it's going to tell you what revenue you did in June, it's going to tell you what profit you did in June, it's going to tell you what cash you collected in June. But you can't influence June's results because we're now in July. So if one of your business growth indicators was what is the next quarter's pipeline value, so how much business am I going to generate in the next 3 months, that's in front of me. It's something that I can predict, because a bit like the sat nav, if you're running tight for time, you just put your foot down a little bit in the car. Or if you're on time or ahead of time, you stop off at the services and have a coffee. So by being able to predict what time you're going to get to your destination, a bit like a sat nav does, you can focus on the strategies that you need to change in order to get there. So in the car, you put your foot down, or you can stop for a coffee. What do you do in business terms? You might invest in more marketing, you might have a greater focus, whatever it might be. Your strategies are going to help you achieve your results, but you've got to track whether you are going to achieve those results or not. So your business growth indicators will have targets for where you want to be in 1 month's time, 3 months' time, and 12 months' time. So you know, if you execute those strategies, what results you'll get once you implement your key actions, once you implement your midterm strategies, and once you implement your long-term strategies. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to flick back a few slides here, if I may. So just a quick reminder that you have to have clarity on why you're in business. You have to understand the kinds of collaborators you want to work with. You have to understand the kind of customers you want to work with. Having a vision that's 3 to 5 years out is important, and having your positioning around your USP, your market space, and your company promise is absolutely key to having strong foundations in your business. Once you've got those, long-term strategies. So what are the key results you want to achieve in 12 months, midterm 3 months, key actions 1 month, and your measures, your business growth indicators are going to track your success in 1, 3, and 12 months time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a plan, and it's a plan that's going to help you position yourself as an expert, allow you to get in front of your target clients, allow you to win new business, allow you to retain existing clients, and it's going to allow you to implement the strategies to do that and measure the success of those strategies. It's a single page plan. So they're all the elements I've talked through this afternoon around why you need those strategies. Okay, and importantly, you need to measure. Most small business owners don't regularly measure the things they should be measuring. Now, sometimes that is, I don't know how. Sometimes it's, I don't know what. Sometimes it's, I'm scared of the result. But having a good accountant, having a good person in your network, in your support network that can hold you to account, somebody that can, you know, if you share your targets, you're more likely to achieve those because you're going to be embarrassed if you don't achieve them. So sharing your targets with somebody and allowing them to help you identify whether you're on track and how you can influence a different result if you're struggling is key to you achieving the results that you want. So I've got a challenge for you, and my challenge is this. What one thing are you going to do differently in your business tomorrow? What one thing are you going to do differently in your business next week? Because for those of you who want to retain more clients, those of you that want to increase your prices, those that want to win more business, those that want to work less hours, you need to do something differently. So my challenge to you is what are you going to do differently tomorrow or next week that's going to give you better results than you're getting right now. Now, in terms of what I've got to present this afternoon, that's it. That's everything I've got to present to you, other than how you can possibly contact me. I have got details of how you can access the planning template, the strategy template that I've talked to you about. And I can share that with you this afternoon, and also share that with you via email tomorrow with a copy of the presentation slides. So I just want to open it out for any questions.
Thank you very much, Gary. We're now open for questions. Can you please post them in the chat box, and I will be reading them out as we go along. I don't think there are any questions yet. I think everybody's busy taking in all of the wonderful information that you've just given us. How do you approach clients? Email, presentations, video presentations? And this is a question from Marta.
So how do you approach clients?
Yes.
So in the marketing strategy, what you need to do is identify. So if you understand who your target client is and where they hang out, the answer to that question is going to be who that target customer is. So some clients, for example, in my space, some clients, they hang out on Facebook. Some clients hang out on LinkedIn. So if I know where that customer hangs out, I know the best approach to get in front of them. So some may well respond to email, but some are not very good at email. Some like to be presented to, so a webinar type format. I do a lot of speaking on stage. I do a lot of webinar presentations. I am just about to launch a podcast. So how does your target customer consume your content or your marketing messages? The reality is it's probably a combination of all of those, Marta. There's a very famous Henry Ford quotation that is, I know that half of my marketing's working, but I don't know which half. The reality is that that brand and reputation that we discussed is a combination of video, of blogs, of podcasts, of speaking, of emails, of webinars. So the reality is that it's probably a combination of all of those things that's going to get in front of your key customers. But one question that's worth asking, it might be a customer that you've got right now, Marta, that is an amazing customer. It might be somebody that you are targeting to be an amazing customer. So that amazing customer, how did you win them? Was it a presentation? Was it a video? Was it an email? Was it a referral? And equally, ask them, what magazines do you read? What video, where do you consume video content? Do you read blogs? Do you listen to podcasts? Ask them where they go for insight and information, because they'll tell you. And when they tell you, it tells you where you should be marketing. But the reality is that it's a combination of different types of marketing. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Gary. The next question is from Sue Leshan, and that is, how should we adapt our businesses to whatever the new normal is? There is so much uncertainty right now.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a great question. And if I had a magnifying glass, I could look into the future. All I can say is that for many businesses, the old normal wasn't a very good normal. I've met a lot of business owners that were struggling financially, that were working too many hours. So you don't want to go back to that normal. You want to go to a new normal. The benefit of having a single page plan is that when something like a coronavirus happens, or a legislation change, or a government change, whatever it might be, we can just review that plan because it's a single page, and we can update that plan, a bit like a sat-nav recalculates automatically, and then we can head out. I think the reality is nobody knows what the new normal is, and nobody's going to know what the new normal is going to be for a few months. If I look at, all events pretty much have been cancelled for the last 3-4 months. I know a lot of events companies that I talk to are probably unlikely to run many face-to-face events in 2020. But a lot of those businesses are moving, if they've not already done so, moving online. Some are probably realistically not going to be doing major events with big hordes of people until well into spring or summer 2021. So talk to your customers and find out from them what they think the new normal is. You know, if you do a lot of conference interpreting, what are their plans as far as running live conferences, online conferences? How many people will they cater for? If they're online, what technology will they use? So your customers will tell you what their thoughts are with regards to the new normal, and you can then start to gear your business up to meet that. And I think all you can do, because we've got this single page adaptable plan, excuse me, all we can do because we've got this single page adaptable plan is make sure we've got a plan and we review it and update it constantly. So I hope that answers your question.
There's a question from Alessandra Battaglia, and her, first of all, she thanks you very much for all the information.
My pleasure.
And she says, I'm in the process of building a website, and I believe my biggest challenge is positioning myself. Do you have any tips on how to do it effectively?
If I believe that that's in terms of differentiating yourself from your competitors, if I understand the question right. The key thing for me is this. What a lot of, I'm going to talk very generically for a moment. What a lot of people do in business is they try and offer a wide range of products and services to a wide range of people because they want to open the net out as far as possible because they don't want to miss opportunities. What you've got to think about is, can you really, really narrow that niche down so you work with and you become known for being brilliant at one thing? So it's that kind of jack of all trades versus a master of none. So is there one particular thing you can focus on? It might be interpretation. It might be translation. It might be a particular niche. So understand if there is a niche in the first place. And if there is a niche, what's the size of the opportunity in that niche, and how can you articulate that niche across all of your marketing platforms? So video, social, website, etc. A good way of starting to do this is talk to your current and your previous customers. So go to your customers and say, can you tell me why you originally bought from me, why you continue to buy from me, and why you choose me over anybody else? And they will use words, they will use statements, they will use sentences that are powerful. And you can take those words and you can manipulate them into a sentence or a statement or a paragraph in your marketing. So your customers will tell you why you're amazing. Ask them, what words will they use? Why are you amazing? And then use that feedback to try and pull together a message, a key message, a proposition that you can then use to target new customers. So I hope that answers your question.
The next question is from Jakob in Birmingham, and he's asking, in terms of CRM, how important do you think it is to use such systems from prospective small business like us?
Yeah, great question. I think they are absolutely fundamental. Why? Jakob, I don't know you and I don't know your business particularly, but I'm guessing you have some competition. You might have some competition on the call this afternoon. You might have some competition in your local market or your wider market. The reality is that we've all got competitors. The thing that's going to stand us out from the competition in a competitive environment is our service levels. It's how we make customers feel. So that brand and that reputation, that company promise that I talked about, it's how you make your customers feel once they've dealt with you. So think about Sky, think about the last car that you bought, think about your utility providers at home, think about the retail store that you're going. Do they leave a wow experience with you, or do they leave an okay experience? Now, the reason I'm telling you is this. What a CRM system will do is two things, amongst others. It will allow you to capture important information about a customer that you can wow them. So let me give you an example. So an accountancy firm I work with used to say, so let's say they had a visitor come into site. They'd have a parking space that just said visitor. And that visitor would park up and they'd walk into reception and they'd go, hi, my name's John. And who you're here to see, would you like a cuppa? And that was okay. So we looked at that customer journey. And what we now do is we ring that customer 3 days before they're due to come. And we go, hi, John, we're looking forward to seeing you on Friday. We've got a parking space for you. So you don't have to worry about that. What drink do you want when you get here? Oh, I want a cup of tea with 1 sugar, please. No problems at all. And they capture that information in the CRM system. What they then do is they go out to the car park and they put a sign on the car park that says John. So instead of it just saying customer, it says John. When John walks into reception, because John's due at 10 o'clock, the receptionist knows that it's John. So she doesn't say, hi, who are you? She says, hi, John. Nice to see you. We've been expecting you. Your cup of tea is ready in the boardroom for you with 1 sugar, just as you like it. So that is a difference between an okay customer experience and a wow customer experience. And that wow customer experience, how they like their tea, what kind of car they drive, what they look like maybe, that's information you can collect and put into your CRM system. So things like maybe when their birthday is, how many years they've been in business, what are their children called, what's their favorite football team. So when you start a phone conversation, you might say, oh, what are you up to at the weekend, as you're getting to know somebody, and they might say, I'm going to watch Leeds United play, or I'm going to watch Tottenham Hotspur play. Capture that piece of information in your CRM. Next time you ring them on a Monday, before you ring them, check out how Tottenham Hotspur or Leeds United did. So instead of starting the call to go, hey, how was your weekend? Go, hey, do you know what? Great result for Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday. They're really, really kicking it at the moment, aren't they? And because you've thought about them and you're talking to them in their language, it gives you that extra wow factor. So that's one element of a CRM system. The other element is you can start to automate some of your marketing. Now, marketing is quite costly, can be costly. It can be time consuming. So let's say, for example, that you have a customer in your CRM system, but you want to constantly add value to them. Now, you've got 2 ways of doing that. You can remember to send them an email, or you can set up in your CRM system to send them a newsletter that's got particular information. You might send them invites to particular events. So what your CRM system will do, if you set it up correctly, is it will add value to your existing customers and to your prospective customers while you're asleep, while you're on a webinar with me. It's constantly adding value that stops it being a memory test, which means you're doing better marketing, more cost effectively, more often. That's the importance of a CRM system. Hope that answers your question.
And one more question, if that's okay with you. This is from Yelena McCafferty, and it says, if you needed an interpreter, how would you go about finding one? Your top 3 channels, if you can, please.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a great question. That is absolutely a great question. Now, probably my top 2 channels, I would Google. So if I didn't know anybody to chat to, I would go on Google and say, I'm looking for an interpreter in this language. And Google's going to spit me some answers out, and I'm going to ignore the paid ads at the top. And I'm then going to look at some of those people at the top of Google rankings, and I'm going to click through onto the website and maybe look at the social media profiles, and I'm going to assess their brand and reputation. And I'm going to look at their brand and reputation and see if it resonates with mine. Could I work with this person? Because that could I work with this person I want the answer to be yes, or they want the answer to be yes. You want, when your customers are asking that question, you want that question to be yes. So I would go on Google is one of the channels. What I'm more likely to do is I'm likely to pick the phone up to somebody that I trust. So Ava, I see that Ava's just put a comment there recommending HubSpot. And HubSpot is a very good CRM system. I don't know most of you on the call this afternoon. So if I wanted an interpreter, I would pick the phone up to Ava and I would say, Ava, I trust you. I know you would give me a very good recommendation, but I've got a customer looking for an interpreter in this language or in this geography. Who would you recommend? So I would always go on personal recommendations, because somebody that you trust who recommends somebody, they're not going to want to damage their reputation by recommending somebody that's poor. So firstly, I'm going to Google. Secondly, I'll probably firstly I would ask for a referral from somebody I know and trust. Secondly, I go on Google, and the third one I would probably look on social media. So I would look at my LinkedIn, see who's an interpreter, look on maybe Facebook, see if there's any groups of interpreters, or I would maybe see, Google if there's an organization, an association, and I would find this organization, and I would take it from there. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, Jakub has thanked you, and he said that was a very detailed response. Thank you very much. There is a hello from Eva, who joined us a little bit later, and there's a thank you again from Jelena. Unless Kirsty's unfortunately leaving, well, I'm glad that she was able to attend until the end, but thank you for another wonderful webinar she's just written. We're coming slowly to the end of our time, unless there is any other questions in the next few moments. Then I'd like to thank Gary very, very much indeed for this very in-depth overview and for some for this wonderful advice that he's given us. Marta is thanking Lily. Thank you for a great and informative session. There is obviously, you will be able to see the chat box yourself, and there are many thank yous indeed.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, what I've done here is I've just flicked that slide over, if you can see that. So the tendo-uk.com/plan. If you put that into your web browser,
right,
it will give you all the benefits of the plan that we've talked about this afternoon, and it will give you the opportunity to be able to download your own plan template. And there's a video of me explaining the plan template in a little bit of detail, and there's a copy of the blank plan on there, so you can start to develop your own plan. This will also be in the presentation that will send tomorrow. So when I send you an email tomorrow, I'll give you a link to download the slides, and I will give you this link here in the copy, so that anybody that's watching or anybody that receives the email that you send on to them can just click on that link and they can download their own copy of the plan template.
Thank you. One more question, if it is possible at all, from Jelena. You mentioned social media. What's best in your opinion for business development?
Where is your customer? Are your customers on Facebook? Are your customers on LinkedIn? Or are they on another platform? I'm guessing that a majority of the businesses that want conference interpretation or translation, they're more likely to be on a platform like LinkedIn than they are perhaps on Facebook. What I would never do is to say focus on any more than two. I would usually say focus on one social media platform, two at the most, because it will zap your energy and your time. So where do your customers hang out? If you don't know the answer to that, ask them. So when you're speaking to them, or you could do a survey monkey to them, ask them where they hang out. And if the answer is LinkedIn, you want to be focusing all your time, effort on LinkedIn, or vice versa. So just focus, go exactly where your customers hang out, which is the niche bit that we spoke about earlier.
There's right at the end, there's a lovely comment from Antje, which says, thank you. This was very helpful in dislodging a few roadblocks, and I think we all agree with this one. Thank you again, Gary, for a lot of us who are expressing their gratefulness. Thank you for an amazing webinar from Agnieszka. Thank you from Ricky, who says very useful tips, and so on. We have come to the end of our time, so I'd like to thank you once again on behalf of the ITI, and I'd like to thank all the participants for joining in this afternoon. We hope to see you in September now, well, not Gary, but our members, because the organizing committee will have a little break during the summer. Thank you again and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.